to Deep Sleep Stories. Thank you to everyone who's been listening. If these stories help you relax or fall asleep, a short review, comment, or sharing the podcast with someone who might benefit is a simple and meaningful way to support the show so that we may continue to offer it for free. Now, take a slow, gentle breath and let's begin tonight's story.
Welcome to Deep Sleep Stories, a quiet harbor for your mind where the day can loosen its grip and fade while you visit a snow-lit guest house tended by a very polite Yeti high in the mountains. You can arrive here slowly in your own gentle way. There is nowhere else you need to be. Nothing needs to be finished or fixed. For now, you are invited simply to rest. If it feels comfortable, you might let your eyes close or soften your gaze toward the dark behind your eyelids. Notice your body resting where it is, the way it is already held and supported. You do not have to hold yourself up. The surface beneath you is doing that for you. Take a slow, easy breath in through your nose. Let the air come in cool and soft, filling your chest, maybe your belly. Then let it fall out again without effort, like a light sigh or snow slipping gently from a branch. With each exhale, you might imagine setting something down. A thought, a question, a worry, a list. You can picture a small wooden bench beside an invisible door where all of these things can wait for you. You can pick them up another time, if you wish. For now, they may rest as the pieces of the day grow quieter. Imagine the world around you fading into a deep, restful blue. Far above the towns and roads, tall mountains rise, their peaks brushed with starlight. Thick blankets of snow soften every edge, glowing faintly under the watchful moon. In a hollow of the slope, near a stand of dark spruce, a single guest house glows like a lantern in the snow, its windows round and warm. Within that gentle light, in the hush of the high mountains, the story begins. In those quiet ranges lived a Yeti named Naru. He was tall as an old pine, wrapped in fur as white as new snow. His eyes were the calm blue of distant ice, and they held a softness that did not quite match his size. When he walked, his steps were careful, pressing only lightly into the snow, as if he feared disturbing the mountain's rest. Naru kept a small guest house on the hillside where forest met open snowfield. From far away it looked like a single ember glowing in the white. Up close, it was simple and welcoming. Curved beams of fallen spruce made its roof. Smooth stones held the shingles against winter winds. Round windows watched the night like friendly eyes, spilling a warm golden glow across the drifted snow. Inside the guest house was a nest of warmth and quiet. Thick woven rugs softened the stone floor in spirals and river-like curves. Shelves of polished wood lined the walls, full of clay bowls, wooden cups, and jars of dried berries and herbs. In the middle of the main room, a low, round fire pit held a bed of embers, and above it a copper kettle almost always simmered, sending up slow breaths of steam that smelled of pine, mint, and honey. Naru loved this house. In the soft, pale mornings, he swept the floor with a broom of bundled twigs, moving in unhurried arcs. He shook out the rugs on the step, and even the falling snow seemed to drift more slowly while he did. He polished the kettle until firelight and starlight gleamed in its curve. He straightened chairs, folded quilts, and set out cups with a quiet, steady care, as if each one were a little guest of its own. Before the guest house was built, Naru had wandered the mountains alone for many seasons. He knew ridges and ravines, frozen streams and hidden hollows. The wind's song and the glitter of stars had kept him company. The silence had been vast and beautiful, but sometimes it rang inside him, an empty echo he did not quite understand. One deep winter night, clouds hid the moon, and snow fell heavy and thick. Naru found a lone traveler huddled under an overhang of rock, shaking with cold. Their hands were stiff, their eyes dull with exhaustion. Naru gathered them up gently, cradling them as one might hold a fragile branch. He carried the traveler to a sheltered cave, kindled a fire from fallen wood, and wrapped them in his own thick fur. From needles and roots he brewed a simple pine tea in a cracked pot, humming softly while warmth crept back into their fingers. When dawn brought a faint blue light to the snow, the traveler opened their eyes and whispered a quiet, grateful word. It was small in the vastness of the mountain, but it sank deep into Naru's chest, filling the hollow there with warmth. He realized that what soothed him most was not wandering, but offering shelter, creating a place where cold and fear stopped at the door, where someone could rest without hurry or demand. After the traveler went on, Naru began to build. He stacked stones with patient hands, laid beams across them, and listened to the wind as if it were advising him. Birds dropped bits of moss and soft grass. Foxes, curious and quick, led him to fallen trunks, just right for carving. Snow fell, melted, fell again. Through seasons and storms, the house grew sturdy and kind. By the time another winter wrapped the peaks, the guest house was ready. Not grand, not tall, but solid and warm, with space for whoever might find their way there. The first visitors to arrive were snow hares. They came as evening blurred the sky, a scatter of quick white shapes hopping through deepening drifts. An early storm had hidden their burrows. They were tired and a little lost, whiskers dusted with snow. Through the swirling flakes, They saw the round windows ahead glowing like small moons. Naru opened the door before they reached it. He had felt their tiny footsteps on the snow. "Welcome," he said, voice low and gentle. "Please come in, if you wish. You are safe here." The hares hesitated for only a heartbeat, then hopped over the threshold. Naru took a soft cloth and brushed the snow from their fur, one by one. He spread a wool blanket near the fire and set shallow wooden bowls of warm water before them, with the faintest hint of berry sweetness. The hairs curled up in soft bundles, ears relaxed, eyes closing almost at once. Their breathing settled into slow, small waves. Naru sat beside the fire, stirring the kettle in lazy circles. He did not speak. He did not need to. His steady presence filled the room with quiet safety. As the hares slept, the mountain wind slipped past the chimney, catching the scent of warmth and herbs. It carried that scent down slopes and through trees, past burrows and dens, across the valley, whispering of a polite Yeti and his glowing house. A family of marmots appeared on another night, plump and blinking with sleepiness. They were traveling to their burrow, ready for a long winter rest, and wished for one soft night in a real bed before the deep stillness. Naru bowed to them as if they were honored guests. He gave them a low corner near the fire where the floor stayed warm. He arranged cushions of moss and feathers and spread a little quilt over them, adjusting and smoothing until every paw and whisker seemed perfectly comfortable. The marmots sighed in unison, eyes closing, as if pulled downward by the weight of contentment. Later, when the moon drew a silver path across the snow, travelers from the far valley found the guest house. They climbed the narrow path with careful steps, scarves wrapped high, breath puffing in the cold. They expected only more snow and wind. Instead, they saw a round door framed in light. Naru opened it as they neared and bowed, lowering his head. "Welcome," he murmured. "Come in from the cold. You must be tired." They were. They stepped inside and were wrapped at once in gentle heat. The air smelled of pine and something sweet. Rugs cushioned their sore feet. The glow of the fire eased the tightness in their shoulders. Naru helped them with their packs, lifting each one as though it weighed almost nothing, and set them neatly near the wall. He did not ask where they had come from or why. He saw the shadows beneath their eyes, the slow way they answered. Instead, he poured steaming tea into wooden cups, sweetened with mountain honey, and placed a cup into each set of hands as if he were returning a precious thing. They drank slowly. With each swallow, the chill inside them unwound. The sounds of the room, the soft pop of a log, the whisper of the kettle, the faint rustle of sleeping hares, wove around them. When they were ready, Naru led them to a cozy room. Beds carved from sturdy wood waited there, low and wide. Mattresses stuffed with dried grass and wool rose to meet them. Quilts in the colors of twilight and dawn lay folded at the foot of each bed, their patterns stitched with mountain peaks, drifting snow and simple, soothing lines. Naru paused at the doorway. "If you need anything," he said softly, "you may whisper. The house listens, so do I." He closed the door with barely a sound. The travelers lay down, and it felt as though the beds accepted their weight with quiet delight. Soon their breaths lengthened, matched to the slow rhythm of the fire. As the seasons moved, the guest list of Naru's house grew. A snowy owl, weary from long flights beneath the stars, glided to the roof one night. Naru opened a small window near the rafters and offered a wooden perch along with a shallow bowl of water. The owl drank, fluffed its feathers, and tucked its head beneath one wing, sleeping in the soft shadow while the fire glowed below. Now and then, a fox would appear at the edge of the clearing, tail flicking, eyes bright. Naru pretended not to see, setting a little plate with berries and crumbs outside the door before turning away. By the time he looked back, the plate would be empty, the snow only marked by a single delicate paw print. Every visitor, whether furred, feathered, or walking on tired human feet, received the same gentle courtesy. Greetings were soft. Goodbyes were unhurried. Naru did not cling or rush. He simply opened and closed the door as needed, like a steady heartbeat. The house itself seemed pleased. Its beams hardly creaked. Frost formed calm, curling patterns on the windows, like sleeping clouds. The air always held a faint sweetness, and the embers in the hearth glowed with patient light. On some nights, when everyone inside was settled and the sky above was clear and dark, Naru stepped out into the snow. The guest house glowed behind him, warm against the quiet hillside. He could see the valley below, sometimes dotted with faraway lights, sometimes only a dark sea of shadow. He would rest his hand on his chest and feel the slow thud of his heart into the cold, still air. He would murmur a simple wish. May anyone who is tired find rest. May anyone who is wandering find a doorway. May anyone who needs warmth find their way. One especially still night, when the snow lay smooth and the wind seemed to be sleeping, a different sort of guest arrived. Naru did not hear footsteps or knocking. Instead, he noticed that the light in the room had changed, as though the fire had taken a softer breath. Shadows at the far wall drew a little closer together, as if making space. Near a row of cushions, the air began to shimmer. The shimmer gathered itself into a small shape, delicate and hazy, draped in something like mist and old sighs. Naru had lived long in the mountains, and knew their gentle strangeness. He bowed to the faint figure, as politely as he would bow to anyone. "Welcome," he said. "This is a place of rest. You are free to stay." The little shape softened. Though it had no clear face, the room seemed to release a quiet sigh. This guest was not human or animal. It was a dream, worn thin from wandering. The dream had slipped free from someone's sleeping mind and lost its path. For many nights, it had drifted among busy thoughts, nudged aside by worries and lists, never given room to unfold. It had grown faint around the edges, almost forgetting what it was. Naru recognized that kind of tiredness. He knelt down, his great frame folding slowly until he was nearer the dream's height. "If you would like to rest here," he said calmly, "there is room. You do not have to become anything. You can simply be." From the shelf, he chose the smallest cup he owned. He held it over the kettle, letting only a hint of fragrant steam curl into it, warm but not hot. He set the cup on the low table before the dream. The dream drew close to the steam. It did not drink, but the warmth gave it shape, a gentle center. Here in the quiet guest house, away from tugging thoughts, it began to remember. It remembered wide fields under kind skies. It remembered walking without effort, following lantern-lit paths that always led somewhere safe. It remembered laughter that did not strain, rivers that glowed softly, and the feeling of belonging to a story designed only to soothe. Naru did not ask it to share more. He sat nearby, hands resting loosely in his lap, listening to the calm sounds of the house. The fire settled into a steady glow. The kettle hummed like a soft, wordless song. On their cushions, marmots dozed with tiny paws tucked in. The hares slept in quiet curls. In the rafters, the owl ruffled its feathers and sank deeper into rest. Outside, snow leaned gently against the walls, muffling every distant sound. The mountain breathed at a slow, deep pace. The dream unfurled. Its edges were still soft, but no longer frayed. The pull of the mind it belonged to was there, faint and patient, like a faraway lantern, rather than a sharp tug. In the guest house, time felt thick and friendly, more like a blanket than a river. Naru lifted a quilt stitched with curved, wave-like lines and draped it over the back of the cushion where the dream rested. "You may stay as long as you like," he said. "Morning will wait." The dream shimmered in quiet gratitude, then sank into a kind of peaceful stillness. Not quite awake, not quite asleep, simply resting. Hours slipped by like slow falling snow. The travelers behind the door dreamed of safe paths and warm rooms. The owl dreamed of gliding between shining cliffs. The fox, curled in its den far away, dreamed of full plates on doorsteps without knowing why. In the guest house, breath after breath rose and fell without strain. Warmth held every corner. When dawn finally touched the high peaks with pale silver, Naru stepped outside again. The mountain stood draped in new light. Behind him, the house held its sleeping guests like cupped hands. Days turned, and nights and seasons. Storms came and passed. The moon swelled and thinned. Through it all, the polite Yeti's guest house remained on its slope, its windows glowing whenever darkness gathered. Some nights it was full, some nights only. Naru and the fire shared the quiet. Even then he swept the floor, straightened blankets, and set fresh water in small bowls. Rest, he knew, belonged also to the empty chairs, the waiting beds, the spaces ready to receive. Far below and far away, people moved through their days. They worked and spoke and worried and tried. On many nights, one of them might lie awake, eyes open in the dark, feeling thoughts circle and circle. They might not know why, but slowly a feeling could rise in the back of their mind, the sense of a warm room waiting somewhere, of a door already open, of a tall, gentle host who would simply nod and make room. They might picture snow or not. They might think of mountains or only of a bed turned down, a cup of something warm, a place where nothing is required. As that feeling settled, their breath would begin to deepen. Their muscles would loosen in small ways. Hands unclench, shoulders sink, jaw soften. In imagination, they would cross the threshold of that quiet guest house. Cold and noise would stay outside. Inside, rugs would gather their steps. Firelight would bathe the walls in a soft, steady glow. The air would smell faintly of wood smoke and something sweet. A chair would be waiting, or a bed, or a pile of cushions in a quiet corner. They would lie down and feel their bodies supported, the mattress or blanket rising to meet each curve and line. Their hands would find an easy place to rest. Their breath would keep moving, all on its own. Around them, everything would grow softer. Outside the imagined walls, snow might be falling in slow, white spirals, or perhaps the night would be clear and full of stars. Either way, the guest house window would shine with one simple message. You can rest here. Events and guests and details would fade into the background. What would remain is the feeling of being safe, welcome, and unhurried. It feels like this: a long, easy breath in, a long, easy breath out, the sense of a calm presence nearby, tending to small things so you do not have to, the knowledge that there is nothing you must figure out, right now. Only the dim glow behind your eyelids, only the comfortable weight of covers, only the regular rhythm of your own heart. In that snow-lit house, Naru finishes his last gentle tasks of the evening. He smooths a wrinkle from a quilt. He nudges a log so the fire will burn low and steady. He checks a window latch, leaving it open just enough for the softest breath of mountain air. Then he settles into his favorite chair, the wood, worn smooth, where many hands have rested. He leans back and lets the chair hold him. Even a Yeti deserves to feel supported. For a moment, he simply listens. He hears the breathing of sleeping guests. He hears the murmur of embers. He hears the hush of snow outside, the whole mountainside wrapped in quiet. Everything important is already cared for. Nothing else needs doing. His great hands loosen on the arms of the chair. His shoulders drop in a small, easy release. His eyelids grow heavy, sinking slowly. His breath becomes very slow and deep. The guest house seems to breathe with him. Its walls hold warmth. Its floor cradles each sleeping shape. Its roof gathers the sound of snow. Somewhere far away, perhaps in a different room where another traveler rests, another chest rises and falls in the same slow rhythm. Breath in, breath out. The line between story and room, between mountain and bed, grows soft. You do not have to try to let go. Letting go is already happening, quietly, like snow building, layer on layer. All around you, there is only gentleness. The presence of a polite Yeti in his quiet guest house. The calm certainty that you are welcome just as you are. Let your jaw loosen a little more. Let your forehead smooth. Let your eyes grow heavier and softer. Feel the support beneath you, steady as stone. Feel the warmth around you like firelight and quilts. Feel your breath drifting on in its own slow pattern. In, out. Each exhale a little deeper, each inhale a little easier. Thoughts can wander off like foxes across the snow, growing smaller and softer as they go. You do not need to follow. You are safe. You are warm. You are already resting in that gentle, glowing house on the hillside among sleepy hares and dozing marmots and a watchful owl in the care of a host who is quietly glad you are here. Let sleep come the way snow falls, slowly, softly, one silent flake after another, until everything is covered in peace. The fire glows low, the night is kind, the mountains stand watch, and you, dear traveler, can drift now into the deepest, calmest dreams. Good night, dear traveler. Sleep well.